I thought you were recording everything before that.
Oh no. No, and then this is a little chit chat that we can have while Smitty puts something cool over top of it. All right. So, Mikey, what is going on, my friend? Welcome to the Thunderdome, as they say. Appreciate you coming on this week with me, and yeah, Mike and Dave. I think Mike is actually at the baseball game with busing. So those two losers have nothing to play for anyway.
Yeah, well, fuck Verlander, so and them, so.
And at the moment, it's 1-1. Yankees threatening. Oh wow, that's good. You know, you have to hate the Astros if I'm cheering for the Yankees.
Yeah, I think at this point in baseball, the Astros are the most hated team, and that's over the Yankees. Everyone hates the Yankees, other than Yankees fans. I know that because everyone shits on me all the time.
Absolutely. But yeah, fuck those guys. So yeah, so the boys are out. It's actually Dave's anniversary tonight, so happy anniversary to Dave. 10 years.
Anniversary, Dave. Wow, 10 years. Has Dave ever done anything for 10 years?
No.
Like, no. Lives? No, I don't think he's even
real commitment for him. So yeah, so Mikey came on. So we were gonna do, a quick little show here, but I figured rather than me talking shit about Mikey, behind his back, I know he listens to every word. He's grinding on it every week.
Yeah.
And so we, I thought I'd have him on, talk the shit directly to his face, because we have a big matchup this week.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And normally that probably would have been game of the week, but after what I've done the last 2 weeks, I don't know if that's happening anymore.
Yeah, it's that time of year, man. It's
injuries.
I read this week. What's that?
Injuries, bye weeks, and just me not having depth, as you guys kept calling it over the last 4 fucking weeks.
Mikey's angry and he's gonna tell everybody about it. We got to talk about something, man. I can't just say everyone's team was perfect and call it a day. I mean, my team was
perfect. All right.
All right, so it's gonna be like that tonight. All right. So we have Mikey on. We'll talk about the best division going on in the Pinehurst Dynasty League right now. And kind of some big movement. So I was off last week. So we'll update the rankings here. But yeah, let's. I'll share the screen here real quick, and we'll just take a glance at last week before we get into the rankings here. So hopefully you can see that.
Yeah, look at that.
All right, Mikey. So I'll let you kind of go through and comment. I talk all the time, so I'm sure you came at me with both barrels. I'm sure you got shit to talk with other teams too. So let's see it.
Yeah. So I mean, your game was, I hate to say it, but that was pretty obvious what was going to happen there. Even though Mike and Bussing did put up decent numbers considering who they have starting right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think this was the game of the week, actually, Beaver Tamers versus Hulk Hands, and that did not end up being a game of the week. This ended up being kind of similar to what your brother and myself had the week before, where he just absolutely annihilated me, and Hulk Hands annihilated Beaver Tamers. Everyone for Wallace just kind of, the guys who can go off, they went off. Kamara finally had a good game. Tyreek Hill obviously can put up 30 points any week.
Deion fucking Jackson.
Deion fucking Jackson. I mean, come on. But you know what? Honestly, it was kind of the best way for Dom to lose, because the Hulk Hands was going to beat anybody this week. So, this was a good week for Beaver Tamers to put up a goose egg for Dalton Schultz and a few other single digit scores. So
yeah, it happens, man. I was saying, I read that fantasy scoring, year over year is down like 22% from last year.
yeah.
And yeah, there's been a lot of shitty games, honestly. There really have
Yeah.
been.
Yeah, a lot of the stars aren't really being stars, and some of the wide receiver threes, fours are getting these big receptions, these touchdowns.
Yep.
Tight end twos, tight end threes getting fullbacks getting touchdowns. There's a lot of that happening this year.
That is for sure.
So yeah, Danny versus versus Dave. This was a fun game to watch. Huh. Two teams that are obviously going to be selling this year, try and get good draft picks, and
this is really not good in this area. Not so much here, but here.
Yeah, I look. I love Danny and Joe. They need to they need to start selling. They need to start picking some drafting some good potential players. I don't know. I feel like they had a good draft this year.
Yeah.
If they have another good draft next year, and if they obviously trade for draft picks, they can be they could be playoff contenders in maybe not next year, but the year after. I would know.
Absolutely.
Look, I had a 3-year plan. It's kind of coming to fruition in year 2, or it looked like it was, not really anymore. But so you just never know. So to both of these teams, sell away.
Yeah, what really puts you over the top, and no one talks about it much, but didn't you trade like Zeke for like a 1, 2, and 3 or something like that?
Craig's an idiot. Yes, I did. It was I think a 1, 2, and maybe like a 4 or something like that.
It didn't that happen in person too?
No, it didn't. It didn't happen in person. I was sitting in my chair in front. I think I was playing Call of Duty actually with Craig. And when we when we made that deal. So so anything can happen.
Anything can happen, Mikey. That is true. Broadcasting school is really paying off for you. All right, what'd you do this week? Oh boy.
Yeah, it was rough. So going into Monday night, I was actually kind of convinced that I had the weekend in the bag. I thought Mike Boone would at least put up 6-7 points to get me to that 180 number, which is what I thought I needed. But then fucking Alex Singleton comes out of nowhere and puts up a 48 spot on Monday night. Like,
holy
what the
shit.
heck? Yeah, that
I didn't even realize that.
By halftime, I think he had like 30 points, and I was like, I was done. So yeah, he that's what happened to me this week. Not only, but look, to be fair, I'm a playoff contender. I hope I am. I can't be putting up a 1.7, a 2.8, a 1.4, and a 0.4. I just can't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm hurting in the running back position right now, as everyone knows, and so with that happening, I'm going to lose to a team that should have scored 170, but they didn't. They scored 199. That's what happens in fantasy football. So what can you do?
What can you do? And speaking of Craig
was, in my opinion, was a top 5 team. And then this week happened. Look, everyone has bad weeks. This was a pretty poor week. I think 2 poor weeks in a row also for him, which
Yep.
isn't, it's not looking good. His team is trending downwards mighty quickly. And
He needs
your
my
brother,
boy DJ Moore to get
your
traded out
brother,
of
oh,
Carolina.
and your brother left the door wide open for him too.
Yeah.
It was your brother's first sub 200 game, probably in the last 2 years. And Craig just couldn't take advantage of that.
Yep. And Andrew doesn't have too much on the bench. I know Dak's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple big bye weeks. He had a couple he has a couple injuries.
AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones is killing him.
Yeah, I mean, that's killing him. I was never a fan of that to begin with, to have both of them, but how do you choose? Honestly,
Yeah.
you can't choose. Personally, I would try and trade one of them. I mean,
maybe to you,
Andrew, if you're looking to trade one.
I can guarantee Andrew is not watching this. Although he did watch week 1. He did give me props for my week 1 Bills call.
There you go. So yeah, that's having 2 running backs from the same team doesn't usually work out, but when the rest of your team is who he has, I'm sure he'll be just fine.
Yeah.
And
all right, so dead money back to earth, and Mac and Chase putting up some big numbers in our division.
Yeah, this is kind of what we all expected them to do.
Look at that number right there.
Total points, a lot of defensive points, a lot of potential points. Yeah, look at that.
I don't understand that move, but I've made some bad starts in my career.
I don't get it either. But hey.
Well, that's 30 points, so he's at 260 just on that move.
That's the stereotypical overthink on fantasy football Sunday morning. So what can you do? He still put up 232 points and got the win. A win's a win.
Yep. He had Juju on the bench after Juju treated him so bad last week.
Yeah. And look, a win against Glenn is huge playoff implications.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, let's take a look at the standings real quick, and we'll get into the rankings and do a rapid fire picking and call it a day here, and then turn it over to Smitty. I think Smitty's going to update his rankings and splice it in here.
Hey boys, as promised by the big cat and Mikey, here I am, your boy Smitty, with the forward Steelers hat, celebrating our win against the shitty Buccaneers last week, and I'm coming at you with the Week 7 rankings. So through the magic of very amateur video editing, my rankings will pop up now. And there you go. So as usual, I'm going to go through the rankings in reverse order from the bottom to the top. So we'll just jump in and get started. Actually, that's not as usual. I think I go top to bottom, but fuck it. We'll do it live, even though I could just re-record this video, but whatever, wasting time. So number 12, DJ Boogashuga 0-6. The boys, there was a part of me that wanted them to knock me off last week after all the shit that I talk about them, but they couldn't do it because they're booty. They're fucking booty, that team. And then we have the RVIS boys. I think I can remove the AKA Mapletron at this point, but with the fancy 1-4-1 record, also holding steady there in the 11 rank. They were actually number 6 in weekly scoring. So just, it's like the team's not a complete loss, but, would love to see them win a few and then have that tie come into play, which we'll talk about soon. So moving up to number 10, we have the 16 Czechoslovakians dropping 3 spots from 7 all the way down to 10. Realistically, he needs to win 6 of 8 games in order to get 6 of his last 8 to get to 7 wins, which will give him a chance to get in the playoffs. And his other hope was overall points, but he took a big step backwards with the low performance last week, and he's now sitting 67 points behind the presumptive wild card team, which is not impossible to overcome over the next 8 weeks, but certainly not where he wants to be. Next at number 9, the 2-4, fresh off a hot victory, your Derry Sanders, dropping from 8 to 9, and that's more a function of the Traz boys and Mac and Chase kind of showing up a little bit here. The real talk here is that I really need to find 6 wins over the next 8 weeks to get in. Maybe 5 wins does it. Maybe getting to 7 wins would get me in. But, even the Kinder's prediction based on, my team, maybe I'll win 2 or 3 more games. So we're pretty much done. But, good run. Moving up, so Derry Sanders and the 16 Czechoslovakian boys are in the feisty but no real shot. And I guess you could say the same for the other 2, but, Mike and Bussing and Danny and Joe are just booty. So Team Traz had a nice performance this week with a good, strong scoring. And they moved up from, they were in feisty, I believe, last week. And they are now in the danger zone, headed up. Don't look now, but Team Traz is the number 3 scoring team over the last 2 weeks. They need to knock off Derry Sanders this week to get up to 4-3. But, if they do that, they're searching for 4 wins over the next 8 weeks, and they'll have a good chance to get to that 7-win threshold and have a chance to make it. So, Traz showing signs of life. Mac and Chase with a huge jump going from the 10 spot all the way up to 7, going from a less than favorable booty all the way up to a battling for the playoffs. Billy was the number 2 scorer this week, and he had Burrow on the bench, 42.5 points. This is the Mac and Chase team that I think we expected in the preseason. Now, he's going to need to string together some more wins, but he has the roster to be able to do that. And he also needs to keep scoring because he's going to put himself into play for the sixth seed, the third wildcard spot based on score. But really what I want to see is I want to see Billy win some games, and I want to see that tie come into the playoff seeding calculations. I think that would just be awesome. Also, still battling for the playoffs, still holding steady at number 6 is the Dead Money Boys, Glenn. He had a big week within the division. He's got Hulk hands this week, so it's really important this week to see what happens. His QB situation has become pretty dire. He moved Lawrence up from the taxi squad and is looking for leadership from him. And, he's a team that probably needs to make a move to really contend and try to push up top. So we'll see if Glenn's appetite for the trade market is healthy. So now we're moving up into the borderline teams. Precipitous drop here for Lord of the Slum, dropping 2 in a row. Another down week. And it looks like Mikey needs to make some moves to try to get into contention too. What was a clash of titans 2 weeks ago? Now, looks like it's a little bit of a laugher versus Diggs this week. And, Mac and, don't look now, but Mac and Chase is not too far behind him. So Lord of the Slum really needs to figure out where he's going for this season to hang into that. He is the definition of borderline. Next up, Beaver Tamers, injuries, bye weeks. I dropped Dom from 3 to 4. Injuries, bye weeks, and the shitty Chargers game, made it really hard for him to win. And he just had a down week. He needs to turn around ASAP, though, because if he loses this week and he has to play Bill Cosby Sleepers and the Traz boys knock off Derry Sanders, he's going to fall to 3rd in the division. Didn't see that coming 5 weeks ago, did you? And Hulk Hands, I would say probably the winner of the week here, moves to the very top of the borderline teams. Joe gets to 5-1. Joe jumps from the 5 spot to the 3 spot, and he's knocking on the door as a division leader, as those championship contenders. One thing that I noted last week was Joe had one good week, and every other week he was below 200. But, another big week, top score this week. Joe has a boom or bust, roster, and this is the boom, and it's good to see him getting up there, up top. A genius pickup of Deion Jackson won him the week, and if he knocks off Dead Money this week, he's all but guaranteed the playoffs, and he's dominant in his division. So important game for Hulk Hands to win this week to really solidify himself. And then we're up in the championship contenders. It's the Gabrielson brothers, similar to how it was towards the end of last year. And I finally did it. I moved Diggs up to the 1 spot and dropped the Bill Cosby sleepers down to number 2. I just can't ignore how good Diggs is right now. Bill Cosby sleepers, they won ugly in a down scoring week. So, nothing to freak out about. He was still above the weekly average. He's still going to continue to score. He's still going to stack up good wins. And, a win over the Beaver Tamers this week pretty much guarantees him the playoffs. And he's in a dominant position in the division. So really good shape there. And tops up here, we got the big cat. We got Kenny Diggs it. He's the new king of the castle in my book. He gets to the 1 seed. He's 6-0, and he's holding this seasonal scoring crown. He's the model of consistency. He hasn't been below 206 points all season. He's a shoo-in to make it to those 8 victories that you need to make the playoffs. So realistically, he can start looking at the week 15 to 17 matchups and start structuring his team to try to put himself in the best possible position those 3 weeks because he's pretty much locked into the playoffs. So that's where I'm at for this week. And excited to see how Derek ranks the teams. I assume that they'll probably be pretty similar, but I think we got a lot more teams in the mix, all the way down through 8. I feel like are realistically in the mix to get up into that into the bracket. And we're in that time of year where trades should start happening. So I think it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks here to see how things shake out and who really tries to take a run here at those top 2 teams and who's going to pack it in and hope for better in 2023. So that's what I got. I'll send it back to Big Cat and Mikey.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'll just take a quick look at this, really just for me, because as I'm about to go through this.
Of course.
I did prepare for this week, but I did not pull up the spreadsheet, so I'm going by memory. So I have updated the classifications. Basically, someone's got to go is, hey, there's 6 playoff spots, so someone's got to get the last one. Circling the drain, and I think we can probably move some people, maybe at the playoff game. Up here, big surprise. Big win last week, right? Did they win? I hope. I thought they had a lot of points last week.
They had a lot of points, but
oh no, they played me. Well, they played 185. So I didn't put them out yet because they got some good players. And
they do.
Mike Smith always seems to find like the fucking gem in the scrap heap that scores 12 points. But yeah, then they got Jalen Hurts only scoring 20 points, and it would have been a closer game. I have them the best, basically, of the bad teams. So I hate to say it, but after this week's performance and an 0-6 record, I believe. Yep. I'm going to have to put them mathematically in the better luck next year. I still think their team is decent, but what you said earlier, they just got too many holes to have to start every week.
Yeah.
I don't know what pieces that they would sell because I think, they want to keep their big pieces. They drafted well this year. But yeah, maybe start looking in that direction. Billy Mack, arch nemesis. I'm going to put him in the someone's got to go. I think I moved him down mentally last week after a poor performance. But he's right in the hunt. I'm going to move him in the hunt. And I'm going to do, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this guy, Dancing with Craig's Mom, and move him down into someone's got to go.
That move.
So I talked a lot of shit on Glenn's team the week before I played him, and then I just completely fucked him on Monday night. It was glorious to watch. I was watching the frantic text messages. I wasn't even responding, just laughing my ass off. I've never been more confident in anything in my whole entire life that I was going to win that game. And I was down by like 60 points or something to start. Hilarious. But yeah, other than that week, he hasn't done. His team has not performed very well. So I'm going to put him as the borderline 6th team. And I hate to say it, but you know what? Let's get into presentation mode. I'm moving Dom down. Off week, low point total. He's got some injury issues, and I think everyone can make fun of me, but if Dom tried to trade me Najee Harris for Josh Jacobs right now, straight up, I would turn that trade down. I just think the Steelers are so bad, and Najee just got used so much last year. I just don't think he's going to have that many breakout games for the rest of this year.
All right. I don't know what to say on that, honestly, but go on.
All right. Move the big cat right up where he belongs, number 1. Traz boys. We have you, or I have you, kind of the best of the group, circling the drain.
Hey, big win this week for the Traz boys.
Yeah, and that's why, they're when everyone hits, they can put up some decent numbers. They have the problem though of a couple of questionable starters and then not much depth behind there. I'm gonna have to move Andrew up to number 2 and Hulk Hands to number 3. So that's kind of where I have it right now. to your point, I think we were talking before we hit record. He's kind of gotten lucky with some of the matchups. I don't think he's broken 200 a lot, but his team is solid. I'm not sure what he's doing with the taxi squad. I think he moved his boy Pierce down there, right? Did he move him back up, or is he still down?
Let me check. I don't remember.
I remember Smitty getting all hot and bothered. Oh no, so he's up, right?
Pierce, he's back up. Yep.
Yep, he's up. So it's just Parsons who is on the bench, but I guess I agree with that move since he's got so much linebacker depth as it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, of course.
I got no issues there. So Dom should be up here, serious contender. And just record-wise, Mikey, I'm going to move you. You're spot number 4 right now in my rankings. After a probable win this week, you're obviously going to be probably up here. I might not be top anymore. I got some bye week issues.
Yeah, we'll see. I've got no running back, so.
Yeah. And then I got these guys back here. And I'm leaving them up there for right now. In the mathematically, they're probably down a tier. But, they can still put up decent numbers. I still think even with that team after trading Kelsey, they can still break 200. So, and I moved Craig down, so he's third to last after a couple rough weeks. Lamar Jackson, I think, showed up on the injury report or didn't practice today, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so he's kind of getting beat up already.
I'm sure he'll be fine, but yeah, I hear you.
So
when you're Lamar Jackson, when you're an option quarterback like him, you're gonna get hurt eventually.
Yeah. So he's always kind of crafty on how he gets hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a long season, and those guys are just so big and strong, fucking chasing him down.
Yeah, and I don't think, if I'm not mistaken, Baltimore's bye week is pretty late in the season too, so he's got a lot of games in a row.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how I have it, and then maybe I can move it around if you want me to. Or you can just kind of comment. But basically, what I did this week, I still think the Traz boys could come back in the someone's got to go category. If you broke it down right now on the playoff spots, you were basically breaking ties between the 3-3 teams. Yep. So that's 1, 2, 3 teams. So one of those teams wouldn't go right now. So you'd have the 3 division winners plus the 4-2 Lord of the Slum. So the Traz boys would be out on points right now.
On points, yeah. Unless did they beat either Beaver Tamers or Dead Money? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't
Most
know
likely
exactly
right now the Chaz boys would be the first team out.
Yeah. Actually, I think the website calculates that head to head for us somehow, but that's Dave's category. So anyway, it's really those 3 teams. So circling the drain, they're kind of in between for me, but based on where they have been before and their record, I think they're 2-4. Oh no, they're 3-3. Sorry, we just talked about that. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's going to be one of those 3 grabbing the last playoff spot. So what do you think, Mikey?
So look, obviously 6-0. I think you have the most points in the league. You're top spot. There's no getting around it. I hate to say it. I love you, but I hate to say it. You have the best team in the league right now. There's no question about it. Andrew is right there with you. He's a very clear number 2. You guys are 1-2. There's no getting around it. then you kind of, look, Wallace. I think I have Wallace as 3 also, but if I were to, tier it on your little tier maker, he wouldn't be in the top meta. He just wouldn't be. He has only 2 games over 200 points. Granted, they were both 250 plus, so when his guys go off, they go off. But 4 games out of 6 being under 200 points, that's not top meta to me. Then you have me and Dom. I think our teams are pretty similar. We're both riddled with injuries. We have good teams. We have high potential, but it's just the last couple weeks, or two out of the 6 weeks for both of us just didn't really work out. And I think, like you said, Dom is 3-3 actually. So for 3 weeks it didn't work out for him. But we should be playoff teams. Should. There's still a lot of football left, but as of right now, I would say we're definitely in the playoffs. Then that 6th spot is interesting. Like I said, this game this week, the Billy Mack beating Glenn, major playoff implications.
Yeah.
Before this week, I would have said Glenn was going to be that 6th spot. Now I don't know. And you kind of brought it to those 3 as the potential 6th spot. I think there's more than that. I think Craig is right up there too. Craig has 7 more points than the Traz boys. And his team, I like his team. They haven't had great weeks in the last 2 weeks. But he has good players. He has high potential. So I personally think Craig is right up there with those 3 other teams for a good chance at that 6th spot. And then you have the rest.
So you kind of have it like that?
I kind of have it exactly like that. And yeah. Then you have the rest. You have the Smith brothers, and busing with Mike and Dave and Joe. They are, if they haven't already started. Well, obviously we know Mike and busing have, but these are sellers. There's no getting around it. They're not making the playoffs. They just won't. They don't have the teams. They don't have the record. At this point in the year, they would have to go base almost undefeated at this point. That's just not happening. And so, better luck next year for all 3 of those teams for me. But again, all 3 of these teams have good young players. I personally think Danny might have the best of these 3. I think Danny and Joe have a great chance to be a serious playoff contender, if not next year, then 2 years from now.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
So
yeah, it's interesting because if someone's got to go, that's the name of the tier, and like these teams could be buyers. I know Craig was sending up some selling signals, but if he has 2 good weeks of scoring, like he's right in the 6th spot conversation. Like his record doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would suggest, because it worked out 2 years ago, I think, for me, not last year, because Danny freaking stole it with the post Monday Night Football score change, is buy now, kind of blow the rest of the season, and win that losers bracket. Get that 13th pick.
Yep. Absolutely. That's huge.
That 13th pick is so big. I honestly can't remember who Danny and Joe picked up this year, but I'm pretty sure they had a fantastic pick for their 13th overall.
It was Michael Pittman when Andrew had it.
Oh,
not this year, when Andrew had it 2 years ago. All right, let's pick some games. We can. We might as well look that up. 13th, Christian Watson.
Christian. Okay. I thought
this was not a good pick here.
Yeah.
I would have taken George Pickens, but
Pickens. Yep, of course. Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
All right. Fantasy previews. So, Mike, we'll just rapid fire this one, and we'll save us for the last. So, two teams you just destroyed in a matchup. What do you got?
I'm going with Danny. I think Danny's getting his first win. Danny and Joe have a great team. They're getting their first win.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to